speakers. Okay, we have two speakers for the same presentation. We have Dr. Roslina Abdul Aziz, who received her PhD in Corpus Linguistics from University Malaya and is currently serving as a senior lecturer at UiTM Cawangan, Pahang. Her research interests include learner corpus research, corpus-based genre analysis, and the development and research on specialized corpora, especially in financial English. She has led the development of two specialized corpora, which are the Malaysian Corpus of Financial English, MACFA, and Corpus of Bank Annual Reports, COBA. And her co-presenter is Ms. Norzie Baharum, who has been teaching at UiTM Cawangan, Pahang for 13 years. She did both a bachelor and master's degrees at UIA, specializing in English literary studies for the latter. Her research interests include sociolinguistics, discourse analysis, critical thinking, and English literature, especially women's writings. She's new to the world of corpus, yet her interest in sociolinguistics on how languages function in different worlds, on especially the qualitative part of it, leads her to corpus studies. So let's welcome Dr. Roslina.
Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Shaz, for the introduction. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to everyone who is here. I am going, my friend and we are going to present our research, a small research that we have done, which is entitled Metadiscourse in the Bangnagara Malaysia Governance Speech Text. Yeah. Let me turn the slides into presentation. All right. So this is the presentation outline. I'm going to now. I am going to present the introduction, the literature review, and the methodology, and just a little bit of the findings. The qualitative findings will be presented by my colleague here, Ms. Norzie, and also the conclusion. She will also present the conclusion. Yeah. All right. If you can't, or if you lose me, for instance, please contact me. Yeah, because I can't see the Gmeet screen. I'm looking at my presentation slides. Yeah. So let's go to the definition of metadiscourse. Yeah, for those of you who are new with metadiscourse. Now, usually, Van der Koppel, this is a very famous sort of surface meaning of metadiscourse. It's a discourse when writers discourse about their discourse, right? Or Chris Moore and et al. Says that metadiscourse is the direction for how readers should read, react to, and evaluate and what they have read, right? Recently, Highland definition of it is that metadiscourse is the way authors, out of consideration for the readers or hearers, based on the author's estimation how best the readers or hearers can be assisted to process and understand what is written or said. Essentially, it is a recipient design filter which provides a running commentary on a message to help the recipient to understand it. Yeah. Basically, when we write or when we communicate, what it means here is just that metadiscourse, it embodies the idea that communication is more than just exchange of ideas, or information. It involves your personality, your attitudes, and your assumptions, to those who are involved in the communication. So it's more than just communicating. Actually, you are actually also expressing your personalities, attitudes, and assumptions, when you are communicating. So in a way, it is more than just communicating. Now, the word metadiscourse itself, it was coined by actually Harris in 1957. The earliest was Harris in 1957, but it was made popular by the work of Van der Koppels, Chris Moore et al., Highland, in 1985. Van der Koppel, for instance, classified the system into textual and interpersonal metadiscourse, and then later on refined, by Chris Moore and Highland. And then in 2001, Highland came out with this interpersonal model of metadiscourse, and then throughout the years, he has refined the model into interactional metadiscourse model with 2 dimensions, which I am going to explain later on. But the word metadiscourse itself has been coined in 1959, so it's not something new. All right, so this is Highland's model, 2005, interpersonal model of metadiscourse. So it has 2 dimensions, 2 dimensions. The first dimension is interactive, right? So the interactive dimension here refers to resources or words or phrases that you use to help or guide readers through the text, So it is a way of organizing the discourse, the organization part of the discourse. Now, these interactive resources would include, for instance, transitions like and but, frame markers, like finally, to conclude, right? These are, they refer to discourse acts, sequences or text stages, or anaphoric markers, for instance, that refers to information in other parts of the text. For instance, see, when you use the word see figure 7 in page 7, all right? So that is anaphoric markers, okay? In section 2, we talk about that would be anaphoric markers. And under interactive would be evidentials as well, right? When we refer to sources, information from other texts, for instance, when we write according to somebody, all right? Or Bible states that, that will be evidentials. And the last one is code glosses. This one would be to refer to readers grab functions of additional materials. For instance, when you use namely, such as, in other words, all right? So that will be under the dimension of interactive. So it's about the structure of the text. And then we go to the interactional dimension. Now, the interactional dimension usually is used in a way for the writer to include the readers into his writing, right? So it tries to involve the readers into the writing by the use of resources, namely hedges, boosters, attitude markers, engagement markers, or self-mentions. Now, when you use all these resources, you will somehow involve the reader. If it's a written text, you will involve the reader in your text, right? So when writers use this dimension, they have the reader in mind, right? So hedges would refer to words that writers use to withhold their commitment to something. For instance, words like might, perhaps, right, about, they try to hedge. Okay, so they are trying to withhold their commitment to something. Boosters would refer to words that you use to emphasize a force. If the writer is very certain about a proposition, they will use words like in fact, definitely, it is clear that, right? Now, attitude markers would refer to words that the writers use to express his attitude, right? Words like unfortunately, or phrases like I agree, I disagree, in my opinion, those would be attitude markers, conveying or expressing the writer's attitude of a proposition. Yeah, engagement markers would be words or phrases that writers or speakers use to refer or build relationship with the reader. Okay, now it's like talking to the reader by using phrases. As you can see, when you consider this, all right, so that would be engagement markers. Yeah, self-mention would refer to explicit reference to the author, right? When you use the word I, we, my, our, right? So it's putting the writer in the text. Yeah. So by explicitly referring to himself or herself. Okay. So this will be the model that we use for our research. Yeah. Our analysis. Yeah. So there are a lot of ways or a lot of approaches to Metadiscourse study, but I am going to look at these two. Yeah, by Moronen came out with these two approaches. Yeah, one is called Moronen. Yeah, one is called integrative approach, and the other one is non-integrative approach. Now Adele in 2006. Gave another term for this. She called it a broad approach. And for the non-integrative approach, Adele refers it to narrow approach, right? So integrative approach here emphasize on the relationship between the addresser and the addressee, but not on the text, okay? So this approach is purely quantitative. Okay, so it's usually involving a predefined list of meta-discourse categories, and usually it involves a large scale data. So it's usually purely quantitative. But non-integrative approach would be, the concern would be the writer or speaker, and not the relationship between the addresser and the addressee. Okay, they are usually the analysis would be more qualitative and discourse discourse based, or discourse oriented. So it's more qualitative, right? So you probably would involve smaller scale of data, but it will be dealt with very in depth, yeah, by looking at the discourse aspects, yeah. All right, now let me just give you a brief explanation about the Bangnagara speech. Yeah, so we obtained this Bangnagara speeches, speech text from our corpus data. We have built, Norzie and I and a few others from UiTM Pahang. Ms. Puan Noli, who is in the audience right now, she is one of the members here. So we built Malaysian Corpus of Financial English, and in there we have also data from Bangnagara, right? And in the data from Bangnagara, we also compile text, speech text by the governor. Yeah. So usually this text, they represent. This is the way or the format used by the governors or the senior central bank staff to communicate to the public. Yeah, the central banks, their past decisions and their economic outlook. Now, usually it covers a wide range of issues. It can be about economic growth, monetary policy, microeconomic policy, financial, regulatory, and so on, right? So it has a wide range of issues, actually, or topics, yeah? And then usually all these speeches will be delivered as keynote addresses or also welcoming speech in special functions, either organized by the Bangnagara or organized by other financial institutions, yeah, on behalf of the institution or on behalf of our country. And the the audience would usually be players or stakeholders in the financial domain. Yeah. So a lot of studies have been done on the central bank's speeches, but so far we have not found anything that provide the discursive aspect of that genre. So that is the motivation why we did this study, this small study. Yeah, so far we have not found any studies on the discursive aspect of central bank's speeches. Yeah. All right. So the research questions, yeah, the research questions of our research would be one is to explore or to look at or to find the overall use of Metadiscourse in the speech text. Yeah. So the first one is what is the overall use of Metadiscourse, and the next one we want to also look at the most prominent Metadiscourse resources used and what are their functions in the speech text. We have looked at some of the literature, or we have reviewed some past studies on speeches, yeah, but then we couldn't find anything on central bank speeches. So, but there are a lot of studies on other types of speeches, for instance, political speeches, business presentation, or academic presentation. So in political speeches, usually we find that Metadiscourse, they are used to project the credibility of speakers and also to form a bond with the audience. Yeah. That is why there are a lot of interactional Metadiscourse being used. Okay, it is also used to embed different political ideologies. Yeah, in business presentation, it is used to enhance persuasion, projection. All right, used to build speaker audience rapport. All right, and also it is used also as a resource to create textual coherence in the speech. For academic presentation, usually the linguistic framework of the Metadiscourse is used to, for instance, manage topic, all right, or to refer to phoric, okay, uh, uh, and sometimes they are also used to signal certain intercultural uniqueness, all right. Okay, I will move on to the methodology. Yeah. So our corpus data, as I have mentioned just now, we extracted our data from McAfee. So we got the speech text from year 2000 until year 2014. So altogether, we have compiled about 300, I think exactly 343 speech tags. So the tokens of all the speech tags is 688,000 approximately. Yeah. So what we did was it's quite easy for us to compile the data because everything was online. The text, they are all available online. So what we did, we just download, right, in Word form, and then change it to or transform it to TXT and then analyze it, all right, using a concordancer. So we use Encom. Yeah, the most 3.5.7, I think it's quite recent. Yeah, Encom 3.5.7. Now we use Encom because our corpus is small, so Encom is quite user friendly. It's quite easy to use Encom actually if you are working with small corpus, and if you are looking at only word lists or concordances and engrams. Yeah. You will Encom would would be enough. Yeah, if you are working on small corpus. So the data analysis is both quantitative and qualitative. So the quantitative part would be the descriptive statistics, just means and frequency, and the qualitative would be analyzing the concordances to identify the functions of those resources. Yeah. So we use the operational model just now that I've shown you, Highland 2005, to analyze our data. Yeah. So I'm not going to repeat that. All right. So for the findings, I am just going to present RQ1 or research question number 1 here. That is, what is the overall use of Metadiscourse in the Bangnagara governor's speech text, right? So we found out that the texts are more interactional than interactive. So we found 62% of the Metadiscourse resources used were interactional Metadiscourse. Yeah, the highest was engagement markers, 28%, followed by self-mentions, and then hedges, yeah, about 13%. And for interactive Metadiscourse, of course, the most used would be transitional markers, and that about 26%. There are also some code glosses, about 7%, and frame markers, 6%, right? So altogether, 38% would be the interactive Metadiscourse resources. The rest are all interactional resources. 62% will be interactional resources. All right, so I am going to pass the floor to my colleague who is going to continue with the presentation, but I will manage the slides. I will still be managing the slides, yeah? Switch off. Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't mute myself yet.
All right, thank you, Dr. Roslina. Okay, we are now moving on to Ms. Norzie, who is going to continue the presentation.
Okay, Dr. Shash?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry for the interruption. It's because of the noise from our background. We are actually now in the same room. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, so I am Norzie. Good afternoon to all of you. Assalamualaikum. I'll continue the presentation with our findings for the research question number 2. So what are the most prominent Metadiscourse resources used and their functions in the speech text? So based on the findings, we found engagement markers to be the highest in terms of percentage. We are not talking about the interactional dimension, because from the GSTs, that is actually the dominant features that we get actually. So engagement markers again at 28%, and then self-mention we have 14%. Hedges 13, boosters 7, and attitude markers 7. So now let us look at the functions for all of this. You can refer to our paper. There are quite a number of findings actually found. Just for the presentation, with the limitation of time and anything, we just share a few things actually from our paper. So like engagement markers here, we have actually 10 words, 10 engagement markers, but we focus only on these 2. Okay, and then elaborate just on 1. Rank number 1 is actually for the word I, engagement markers. Again, engagement markers we use to engage. Author, the speaker used to engage with the audience. And then we found that, as usual, in a speech, I is actually ranked number 1, with 18, 1.9%. So number one, engage the audience, okay, by including them, okay, in the discourse, of course, yeah, as it is named, engagement marker, and then express solidarity with the audience. When we talk about the economy, are we talking about the economy of ASEAN, for example? Yeah, when the delegates from the Asian countries coming and meeting, okay, at one place. So here from the excerpt, the first excerpt, here we have our economists. Okay, this could in turn lead to the risk in the build-up of destabilizing imbalances in our economies. So you can see that, okay, the use of our here is actually to engage the audience. And then the second excerpt, yeah, from excerpt number 4, we have, okay, the second, this one, okay, need to look, okay, in moving forward, okay, we need to look beyond the horizon to have an ability to face an environment that is fundamentally different from the present one. Okay, what is needed is the new approach. The pronounce we need to look beyond. Yeah, why is it we put okay, our is the second one, okay, our is the second one, and the excerpt, okay, we focus on the use of our in excerpt 1, and then we in excerpt 4. Okay, second, we also have self-mention 14%. I guess, okay, ni typo ni, I believe. Yeah, sorry guys, yeah, sorry. Okay, self-mentions again, yeah, I and our. Self-mention is I and our. Okay. For what the first one, engagement marker is we and need to actually. Okay, sorry, I'm so sorry for this. Yeah. Okay, so again, as self-mentioned, I and our. Okay, I 18.9%. Okay, so the primary functions, okay, of these pronouns, I, our, we, us, my, me, okay, of course, is to welcome the delegates, yeah, in the opening speech, because this is a speech. So when you put, okay, I, when you have our, when you have we, yeah, we actually welcome, okay, the delegates, yeah, in the opening speech. That is the normal function. Okay, like here we have excerpt 7. I would like to also welcome, this is common. And then I, besides welcoming, yeah, to welcome the audience, okay, I is also used as a way to position the governor herself, okay, in the discourse, bringing to attention her thoughts, beliefs, and hopes, thus inserting herself, okay, as the main protagonist. So she is the one, she owns the speech. She is the speaker, and then I is actually, yeah, used for her to for position herself actually, yeah, okay, in the speech. So you have one example here from excerpt number 10. Here, I believe that is very fundamental. Yeah, the use of self-mentioned I, bringing attention to what she believes in. What is considered fundamental here? Diversity in opinions and practices generate wider options for consumers and practitioners. I believe that is very fundamental. So you can see the purpose here, bringing attention, okay, of the audience to her beliefs, hopes, and everything. Okay, number 3 is actually the next one is hedges. Okay, we have models like would and should. Would rank number 1, should rank number 2. Yeah, and then the purpose, okay, for this are actually to express possibilities, capabilities, potentials, because we are talking about the financial authority. Yeah, talking about the economy of the world, economy of Malaysia, economy of the Asian countries. Okay, so from excerpt 14, okay, you have, however, should there be further delays, yeah, okay, blah, 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 okay, this would be a risk to the economic recovery process. This would in turn continue to have significant spillover effects on the rest of the world. So all talking about possibilities, expressing possibilities, what would happen, okay, should there be any further problems, further delays, this would happen, that would happen. Yeah, okay, and then other hedges, Also include adverbs. I don't put it here, okay, because it's quite a lot, like relatively and about. Yeah, relatively and about, okay, not often used, not like, okay, yeah, as often as would and should, but still, yeah, it's actually significant for us, okay, yeah, to put in our people. And then also lexical verbs like the word estimates, okay, and belief. Because it contributed to the reinforcement of uncertainty in the propositions made by the governor. Like you have example from excerpts, okay, 16 and 17. Yeah, it has been relatively low, okay, for few banking institutions. She's referring to Islamic banking. Yeah, Islamic banking. So relative low for a few banking institution. Yeah, that's one. And then except 17, okay, we believe, okay, that the payment instrument that has the highest potential to drive financial inclusion, wait, someone is saying, okay, in Malaysia is the debit card. Again, reinforcement of uncertainty in propositions, level of certainty, uncertainty, okay, use of hedges. Okay, next we have boosters. Okay, boosters here, the top two, indeed, and then must. Okay, boosters serve as a rhetorical device, yeah, and that it shows authorial oratory confidence, yeah, in any propositions made. So you can see the word indeed, like in excerpt 14, okay, the establishment of Labuan as an international offshore financial center in 1990, yeah, was indeed a bold step in its time. Yeah, okay. So authorial oratory confidence, okay, in the proposition that was actually indeed a very, okay, a bold decision, okay, for the government of Malaysia to do that, okay, step, okay, in 1990. Okay, and then in step 16, we have product innovation must be a continuous and deliberate part of the process of market development. Okay, another degree of confidence put actually, yeah, in the proposition made by our governor. Okay, it's not just the level of confidence, yeah, okay, it's not just for rhetorical device actually, it's also how to say, yeah, this one, yeah, um, um, reflects, okay, the central bank certainty in its past decision. The later above shows, okay, the governor's urge actually, okay, for business entities to equip themselves, okay, for the global economy, and then to remain competitive, okay, sharing some business advice with the relevant entities. Confidence in the proposition is made, okay, by looking at the use of these two words, yeah, indeed and must. Okay, next we have the last one. We have attitude markers. Attitude markers, okay, to show what is important to the governor of the Bangnagara, what is expected, okay, of from the speech, for example, okay, what are among the things expected, okay, by the Bangnagara of Malaysia, Central Bank of Malaysia. Like here, we have actually, yeah, the importance of certain ideas. When you use the word important in your speech, like here, okay, yeah, important, right, number one, expected, right, number two, yeah. So we have important, okay, yeah, the programs directed to families where women have an important role, yeah, to engage those, okay, we have not been able to participate. So here, the governor of the Bangnagara says that we need to look at this programs directed to families, yeah, because again, the role of the women in the family. So the word important is used. We know that this is actually to show the important idea in her speech. So programs directed to families is one important, okay, key idea. And then excerpt 26, okay, expected. What are among the things expected actually? Yeah, in their speech, Okay, the Islamic banking and financial services industry has experienced profound growth in this recent decade. This growth, okay, is expected to accelerate. Again, talking about the Islamic banking, talking about the Islamic financial services. So these are among the expectations here put in the speech of the governor. Okay, here, family-based programs and then growth of the Islamic banking, growth of the Islamic financial industries. Besides many others, they don't just display the BNMs, Bangnagara Malaysia's assertions, okay, that these ideas are vital and important, okay, for the economy of Malaysia, for the business entities. Okay, what is equally important is this actually the enabling capacity, as like I said by Halliday. When you put all these words in your text, you are trying to enable people, okay, to do certain things. Like for example, now, okay, we talk about Islamic banking is important. Islamic banking, financial services are important. So we are trying to enable people, okay, to move towards these ideas. What is the other thing, okay, which is considered important by the Bangnagara programs directed to families? So we have that kind of capacity, according to Halliday, when we put all these attitude markers, important, expected, and any other types of attitude markers. Okay. Conclusion. Number one, okay, we wanted to see whether the type was more to interactive or interactional. So we found that it's actually interactional rather than interactive. That is number one. And then because of all the interactional resources used, we can see that it's actually more interpersonal. It does not merely show us the economic information, economic proposition or whatever. It's actually interpersonal. It's actually the engagement between the governor, the governor of Malaysia, okay, and the audience, okay, she was addressing to at that time. So when they were delegates from ASEAN, okay, of course, the rapport, the engagement, solidarity, and whatever. So it's more to the interpersonal, actually, communication, interpersonal discourse. Okay, what is the significance of the study? So it reveals various sets of interactions evidently established, okay, between the governor and the various local and foreign sectors and industries, okay, she addressed. As I said before, we might think that, okay, the governance types, okay, they can be really dry, talking about economies and everything, okay, only certain people will be able to understand all those types, but again, okay, it's not just on the information of the economy. No, it's not just that. It's actually, again, okay, talking about building the rapport between the delegates, okay, and then the business entities and the Bangnagara Malaysia, the governors herself. Okay, and then for future research, we would hope, if anyone want to delve into this, or perhaps, okay, for our future research, we would hope to see the layers of engagement, and attitude presented. Like we have engagement, okay, what level of engagement, okay, that the type shows between the governor of the Bangnagara and then the audience, and then also the attitude. What are among the other important ideas actually presented? Okay, what is actually the attitude of the Bangnagara towards, for example, Islamic banking, Islamic financial services? So these are among the potential parts, okay, future researchers, okay, might want to look at. Okay, I think that is all. Okay, and then our list of references. Okay, these are among our references. I think that is all, okay, from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Norzie, and thank you, Dr. Roslina, for the interesting and very informative presentation. All right. Okay, so now I think it's time to answer some questions. We have one here in the chat box. Okay, in fact, we have two. Okay, the first one is, how can we categorize the words into different groups, such as attitude markers, hedges, or boosters? Is it according to intuition or experience?
Okay, to answer that question, sorry, Dr. Shaz, for the echo just now
Okay.
because we are in the same room. All right. So, yeah, how do you categorize all those meta discourse? Now, actually, Highland 2005 in his book, he has listed all these phrases and possible phrases and words that can fall under engagement markers, under boosters, hedges. The words are quite many, all right? They're quite many. And if you use Ankong, you can actually type these phrases and words, yeah? Using Ankong, it's possible for you to type them in the there is a function in Ankong where you can add all these words and you can analyze it automatically. All right, so you will get all the frequencies of these words automatically. But then you have to also remember some of these words, yeah, Highland has also warned us, yeah, some of these words may not function as Metadiscourse. So there will be, you will be required to manually analyze to see whether or not these words actually perform as Metadiscourse. In our analysis, for instance, we can be engagement markers. We can also be self-mentions. So we had to manually analyze the concordances of we to differentiate which belongs to engagement markers, which belongs to subventions. So there is a degree of automation, but you will still need to manually analyze your concordances. So if you want the list of the resources, yeah, I am going to type here the title of the book, yeah, so that you can go look for the book, and the list will be available in the appendix.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Roslina. Okay, I'm sure. Okay, yeah, the title of the book will be very helpful. All right. Okay, we have the next question here. How to extract the meta-discourse markers from each category? Is it a need to use Ankong and do data clearance manually? I think you have just answered the question.
Yeah, I think I have answered that one also.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any more questions? Okay, from the members of the audience? Yes. Okay. Dr. Munaliana here asked whether we can find this paper online.
All right. The paper, I think it's not available yet. We have to.
Perhaps in future, in near future.
Yeah. But Muna, I can share with you the what version of the paper later. Can you send me your email address?
All right. Okay. Any more questions here? Okay, I think there is. Okay. Okay. Perhaps I have one question here. Okay. Is actually Metadiscourse study is quite something new to me, and I'm just wondering if it could also be applied, okay, to other types of corpus, for example, learner corpora.
Yeah, a lot of studies have been done on argumentative essays, Metadiscourse used in argumentative essays, right, in scientific journals. Yeah, Highland has published a lot of papers on academic genres, yeah, like scientific papers or journal papers, the difference between the Metadiscourse used between social sciences and hard sciences papers, yeah. So you can apply to any types of text, written or spoken.
What would be the objectives?
Again?
What would be the objectives, okay, to apply these Metadiscourse studies on this corpora?
Now, for instance, if you look at meta-discourse used in argumentative essays, now some studies looked at how the use of meta-discourse actually correlate with the students' score in the essays. Good students would use more meta-discourse than less good students. Yeah, there are studies who have looked at the percentage or the usage of meta-discourse between native and non-native writers, and you can see the difference between the style of writing. Native speakers will use what types of different types of meta-discourse, and non-native speakers would usually be more repetitive in their use of meta-discourse. So, you know, it depends on what you want to look at in your research or what you want to focus in your research.
Very interesting indeed. Okay, so we have here Ms. or Mrs. Zhang Jingzu who would like to have a link for your paper. So as you say, is there a link already for the paper?
I will give you the link very soon. I am going to take your email address, yeah, Zhang. And I will email you the paper, okay? Muna, you can add your email address there, and I will send you the paper, inshallah.
All right. Okay. So, are there any more questions? Okay. If not, okay, I would like to thank once again to Dr. Roslina, Ms. Norzie, Dr. Norwati, and also Dr. Jung, Dr. Ng, okay, for the presentations, okay, for the very interesting presentation and for answering the questions. And it has been a pleasure to have all of you here today with us. So this concludes the webinar. Thank you all for attending and for being very active participants. And we hope you have learned and enjoyed the presentation. And we certainly hope that we will see you again in our next webinar.
Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Ng, would you like to say anything?
Just want to say thank you because just now there's a blackout now in my university, so I couldn't switch on my computer, so I had to use my phone to say thank you to all of you.
No problem. Okay, it's good to have you here. Perhaps you can have another presentation by you just to focus on how to use wordsmith tool.
I just know a little bit, that's all.
All right, okay. All right, thank you so much. We'll see you again. Thank you and have a nice day.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Chinese New Year.